What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Dirty Bird Fly Through. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share out. And there's 3 games left in this season, and obviously, this season hasn't gone the way any of us wanted it to go. There were a lot of expectations that this Falcons team failed to meet this season. But at the end of the day, there's still 3 games left to play. There's still 3 games left to talk about, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to preview the Falcons' Week 16 matchup against the Arizona Cardinals, going out west, the final time that the Falcons will be traveling this season, as their final 2 games are in the bins. So, getting into this game and taking a look at the injury report, and obviously the big name that has been on the injury report for weeks has been Drake London. And Drake London has not played since week 11 versus the Panthers, where he suffered a PCL sprain. And it looks like we could finally be seeing the return of Drake London as he has returned to practice. He has been limited. Drake London missing 4 games. You honestly kind of question why the team wasn't just honest and didn't just put him on short term IR. But obviously, maybe there was a little bit of hope that he could come back. But I will definitely say that, regardless, you love to see one of your best players coming back on the field, even if there really isn't much to play for. Man, Drake London is just one of those guys that it's very exciting to see him play the game of football and the effort that he puts into his game. Taking a look at some other guys, Brandon Dorless on the injury report, it kind of feels like Brandon Dorless, despite the amazing season he has had, has really lurked around this injury report for a great part of the season, dealing with a shoulder injury as well as an illness. He did not practice on Wednesday or Thursday. And Bijan Robinson also on the injury report. So I think that's got to make just about everyone on this Falcons team has popped up on this injury report this season for some reason or another. But luckily for Bijan, it's just an illness. He'll be good to go. Taking a look at the Cardinals, um, you know, offensive tackle Paris Johnson, he did not practice Wednesday or Thursday. Marvin Harrison Jr. with a heel injury, he's been limited. Buda Baker with a thumb injury, he has been practicing in full. Will Johnson, their corner, he's on the injury report with a thumb injury, he's been practicing in full. So both these teams obviously, did pretty lengthy injury reports, especially with where they are with their seasons. And for both of these teams, it's been a disappointing season. The Falcons are 5-9. There were expectations heading into this year, and obviously, I think it would be a general consensus that Raheem Morris is, definitely still on the hot seat. He's probably playing for his job in these final 3 games, and I made my opinion clear on Raheem Morris, but I do think that the win against the Buccaneers on Thursday night a week ago, it definitely is going to help Raheem Morris's case. I don't think Jonathan Gannon really has much of a case to keep his job at the end of the year. Matter of fact, I'm quite shocked that Arizona hasn't made the move already, because Arizona started 2-0. It kind of felt like this was really a big year for them, and they failed expectations. They are 1-11 since starting the season, 2-0, I believe, and it feels like Jonathan Gannon is probably the safest bet out of any coach to get fired once the season ends. Obviously, they won't fire him at this point because there's only 3 games left, but it feels like the moment that the Cardinals' final game goes final, that Jonathan Gannon, he will be out as Cardinals head coach, and also the Kyler Murray era in Arizona is coming to an end. He got injured early this season. They put Jacoby Brissett in, liked what they saw out of Jacoby Brissett, kind of evaluated how Kyler Murray has played ever since they drafted him number 1 in 2019, and they've determined they want to move forward this offseason in a different direction. So obviously both these teams, and the Falcons also, with their quarterback uncertainty, with Michael Penix getting injured, it's been 2 very disappointing seasons, and you really get the vibe that both teams, more so than anything, they want this season to end and they want to be able to move forward and see what the next steps are and, potentially fixing their franchises. But at the end of the day, there is still a game that has to be played. And I was just touching on Drake London while talking about the injury report. And having a guy like Drake London back, it really feels like they gave Drake London, outside of course, just shutting him down for the rest of the year, the maximum amount of time to heal from that PCL sprain. Which, granted, if maybe the Falcons were playing more meaningful games these last few weeks, it's possible we could have seen Drake London make a return a little bit earlier, but with the Falcons season already over, them being eliminated from the playoffs in that sense, wasn't really any point in risking it. So you would definitely like to think that you're going to get a fully healthy Drake London. You've given him probably extra time to recover. Typically for a PCL sprain, it's about 2 to 4 weeks. Drake London has hit that full 4 weeks. So you would like, well, actually, really, if you think about it, 5 weeks since the injury occurred when the game will be played. So you would definitely like to think he should be good to go in this spot. And of course, Drake London will get a lot of looks from Kirk Cousins. This will be the first time that Drake London is not, getting the ball thrown to him from a quarterback, not Michael Penix this year. But listen, it feels like Drake London, despite having 5 different quarterbacks that have thrown him the ball to start his career, he has success with all these quarterbacks. He's just he is that guy that he's going to get open and he's going to become a top target for any quarterback that he is playing for. That's just how good Drake London is as a wide receiver. He currently sits at 810 yards and 5 touchdowns on the year. He's definitely going to be making a push towards his second straight 1,000-yard season, which I think he has a very good chance of hitting. So he's definitely, you're going to see Drake London coming out, especially when you consider that he's in line for a contract extension this offseason. He's going to come out in these final 3 games and he's going to play hard in them. Now, also for the Falcons on the defensive side of the ball in this game, Arizona in particular, they don't really, they're kind of middle of the pack in their offensive line, but still, we know that with the Falcons ascending defense, especially with this pass rush that has really woken up in what has been an overall disappointing season, the one bright spot has definitely been the pass rush. The Falcons have 48 sacks on the year, and a big part of that has to do with the presence of James Pierce Jr. and Jalen Walker. These two guys have came in and they have been the faces of this new revamped Falcons pass rush that is finally able to get to the quarterback. And it's going to definitely be critical in this game, considering that Arizona is a pass-happy offense at this point with Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett himself, he's really that type of guy where he really can't do too much damage with his legs. So he's a guy that he's going to stay in the pocket, and you're going to have opportunities to see James Pierce Jr. extend his streak of 6 consecutive games with a sack. You're going to be able to see Jalen Walker, when you look at the film, doing consistent damage. That is going to be a very important part of this game for the Falcons, is this pass rush once again continuing to build and continuing to put out solid tape as we have our foundation, and now you just want to see where it goes from here, and it's looking very, very promising. Now, for the Cardinals, there's one guy you got to worry about, and that's Trey McBride. Obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr. is a great wide receiver and all. Granted, A.J. Terrell, he will definitely be dealing with Marvin Harrison Jr. That will be his responsibility. But Trey McBride is the one guy that you got to worry about for the Arizona Cardinals. He has been the best tight end in the NFL this year. He has over 1,000 yards. He has been literally the face of the Cardinals in general, but especially their offense. He has been a machine all year long, and he's going to get looks in this game. And you can guarantee that Jacoby Brissett is going to look to Trey McBride, even in a lot of check down situations, when that pass rush is putting pressure on him. Trey McBride is going to become a critical part of this game, and you're not shutting Trey McBride down completely. You got to slow him down. And with a guy like Divine Diablo, I think you do stand a good shot at being able to do that. But Divine Diablo, that is going to be his assignment all game, is shutting down Trey McBride and the threat that he could pose to this Falcons defense. He is definitely the number one thing that you have to worry about. But Atlanta has their own big tight end weapon in Kyle Pitts, who's obviously coming off of his signature game against the Buccaneers a week ago. And he's not following up with another performance like that, but you have definitely seen Kyle Pitts get the looks this season. He's been given opportunities, and it's been up and down, but in recent weeks, Kyle Pitts has been heating up. He has a chance, just like Drake London, to get to 1,000 yards on the season. He's definitely going to be making that push because, once again, Kyle Pitts, he's up for a contract. And there's been a very big question raised. Do the Falcons do something that they almost never really have never done? Do they use the franchise tag on Kyle Pitts and see what he could bring for another year, or potentially see what his trade value is? But you would definitely expect that with Drake London back, and also the Cardinals are definitely going to try to shut down Kyle Pitts, that no, he's not going to have the type of game he had last week, but you still are probably going to see Kyle Pitts get some looks, especially at wide receiver. You're going to really see him be split out and run some of those wheel routes that you saw he have success against the Buccaneers. I would like to see him on more drag routes, really being able to do damage in the middle of the field, especially with Kirk Cousins throwing him the ball. They have that connection. Kyle Pitts has success with these veteran quarterbacks that have a better vision of how he should be used, like Matt Ryan in his rookie year. Kirk Cousins at times, especially these last 3 games. So Kyle Pitts, another big opportunity for him in this game as well. And, for the Falcons in general, I really think this is a game that you kind of chop down to, are you building actual momentum going into next year? Is this something that this Thursday night win in Tampa, are you going to be able to capitalize off that and really use that as a foundation, even though we've heard that in the past about games and lost seasons, that the Falcons will win and this is going to be a building block towards next year, and the type of spark that it could bring does not go into next season? Or are the Falcons, or is Raheem Morris just trying to, use this game to save his job? And you would definitely think that that is the case. That obviously, I think this is another game that, listen, when you get a win in Tampa at the end of the day, I was not very impressed by it on the part of Raheem Morris and what he did, but at the end of the day, as much as I would like to be making the decisions about who is and isn't here, I'm not doing that. Arthur Blank is. And I can probably tell you that, knowing the type of owner that Arthur Blank is, he was probably very mesmerized over that win against the Buccaneers. So this is another opportunity, I think, for Raheem Morris. Does he take a step further towards saving his job, to what I think would be the disdain of everyone in this fan base? Or do the Falcons come out and do what they've kind of done all year, 1 step forward, 3 steps back, and we're right back to square one with Raheem Morris? It's really to be seen. That's why you kind of have to go into this game not really putting too much money on anything to happen. But getting into the players to watch, for the Falcons, I'm going to go with Xavier Watts. Xavier Watts had a very hot start to the season, and he still had a solid rookie year. 3 interceptions. It feels like he is going to have a very big role in this game in terms of being able to stop Trey McBride and really be that support deep down the field for how Arizona might potentially try to use him if he does get past Divine Diablo. And then also you look at guys like Marvin Harrison Jr. that can get downfield. Arizona's going to try to pass this ball. That is why when the pass rush doesn't get home, Xavier Watson, obviously Jesse Bates, but Xavier Watson in particular, he's going to have to be that guy downfield that he is there to provide that support because the Falcons have gotten beaten on a lot of deep plays this year, and this is a game that the pass rush isn't able to get home to Jacoby Brissett, he could start heating up with those deep passes. So Xavier Watts, you're going to need him there, and you're going to need him making plays. And for the Cardinals, I'm going to go with Josh Sweat. He has been the star of their defense. 11 sacks on the year, I believe, for him, leading the Arizona Cardinals in sacks on the year. And the Falcons' offensive line has kind of been shaky. So you definitely have to know that they're going to try to pressure Kirk Cousins. They're going to try to get to him. And Josh Sweat will definitely be the engine of that for the Cardinals pass rush. So you got to really look out for that and try to shut him down. But going to the chalkboard for our keys to victory. And number one, the pass rush has to get home in this game. I was just mentioning when I was talking about Xavier Watts, if the pass rush is not able to get home, that is where he's going to become even more important. This is a game you need the pass rush to get home. You need James Pierce Jr. to stay consistent, keep it rolling. We love what we've been seeing from him. Jalen Walker, if Brandon Dorless plays, he has 7.5 sacks on the year. He has been having a very quiet breakout year. The Falcons have to get home in this game because Arizona, they don't have a good running offense. They are a pass-happy offense. You have to get home, and that is how you shut down the Cardinals in this game. Secondly, you got to let this run game roll, especially with Bijan Robinson. This is a homecoming game for Bijan Robinson. He grew up in Arizona from around the area. I'm sure he's going to have a lot of family at the game on Sunday. So this is the type of game, especially Arizona does not have a great running defense. Arizona doesn't have a great defense in general. This is a game that the Falcons, if you want to get into momentum early and you want to start setting a tempo, you give Bijan Robinson the ball. This could be a very big day for him on the ground if you just give him that football and you give him those types of opportunities, and it can really just balance everything out and make it that much easier. But you let the run game roll, you let it be your bread and butter, and you don't overcomplicate things. And third, you got to get ahead in this game early because it really feels like if you can get ahead early, this is an Arizona team that at the end of the day, things haven't gone well on the year, and kind of same for the Falcons, but especially for the Cardinals. It feels like they've kind of checked out on the year, and if you can get ahead early, their confidence, their momentum, any chance they have in this game to win, it could quickly diminish. Now, getting into my final predictions, and I really feel like at the end of the day, this is one of those games that you kind of want to see if you can, if what you did in Tampa actually has any substance, or if it was just a very bad night for the Buccaneers. Now, the Falcons haven't won out in Arizona since 2001, and that's definitely something that goes against them. However, this Cardinals team is so checked out, it feels like. They're not playing for their coach. The Falcons, at the end of the day, was speculated maybe they're not playing for their coach, but they did get a pretty big win. So I'm going to pick the Falcons here. I feel like this is a game where the offense could have some success and the defense can obviously, continue to see growth out of them, especially from the pass rush. Definitely, as I said earlier, you give the ball to Bijan Robinson. You really let him be the engine of your offense in this game, and you could set up very nice situations for Kirk Cousins in the passing game, get Drake London back out there. But at the end of the day, it's about consistency. And if the Falcons lose this game, it's going to be right back to square one for Raheem Morris. So, listen, if you want any actual growth, and you can't have 19 penalties again this week. I don't care how, what anyone says. The Falcons should not have won that game with 19 penalties. But I am going to pick the Falcons to win. I'll say 30-19. I feel like the Falcons, they're going to be able to put up some points, and they'll have a good opportunity to get their 6th win of the year on Sunday. But with that being said, appreciate everyone for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, share out. I will see you all in the next video.